Armored Core? Nah, I'm just kidding. This is actually Ranger X, which was released on the Sega Genesis in 1993. Though for some reason I always call it by its Japanese title, which is X Ranza. While I'm not the biggest fan of mechs and robots, I do think they're pretty cool. I did get a lot of enjoyment from the Armored Core series, and I also enjoyed some of the Gundam games, both old and new. I mean, heck, I've even put a lot of time into games such as Black Hole was okay, well there was also heavy no, but I did at least play Rise of the Robots. Alright, maybe my track record isn't the finest, but thank goodness Ranger X is actually pretty dang good. The gameplay makes for a fun and intense experience. It can be rather difficult at first, but the game itself has more than enough positives that made me want to keep going. The graphics alone is really impressive, especially for a Genesis title in 1993, making it all the more strange that not many talk about this one, let alone know about it. And of course, it wouldn't be a good game without having good controls, which I'll get into right now. A 6-button controller will be more convenient, but it's not mandatory. A will shoot left, C will shoot right, and B will use your special weapon. You'll fire rapidly if you hold the button, and you can fire with both weapons at the same time. X and Z is used to control X up, but it will follow you automatically. Ranger X is a side-scroller where you must destroy all targets in order to enter a boss battle. The number of targets will depend on the stage and the difficulty. You start with 3 continues and you earn another with every 200,000 points. You will continue exactly where you left off upon death, but the near non-existent invincibility time can make it easy to lose a continue fast. Hence why I think this game can be rather difficult at first. Now to go over the main screen. On the screen is your health, power, special weapon icon, score, radar, and the temperature gauge. The temperature gauge will rise up as you fly up. Once it reaches max, you'll stop flying. It will recover quickly when you land. The radar is used to find the targets represented by yellow dots. The yellow arrows will point to where a target is, and the blue dot represents your X-Up ally. X-Up Indra will be your ally for half the game, whereas X-Up Eos will be in stages where Indra isn't available. Starting with X-Up Indra, it will follow you and fire bullets along with you. If you land on top of Indra, you can move it by pressing left or right. Pressing down will have you take full control of X-Up Indra. During this, you can move around, hold down to charge your jump, and you can fire rapid homing bullets by holding A or C. Pressing B will change Ranger X's special weapon, but it cannot be used while inside X-Up Indra. Indra can be a very helpful ally, not just for its homing bullets, but also because it has its own health bar. That means you can enter Indra to have it shoulder some of the damage Ranger X could have taken. However, Ranger X and Indra are inseparable, so if Indra is defeated, you will have to use a continue. Thankfully, it cannot take damage while you have control of Ranger X. As for X-Up Eos, it's a huge ship that will slowly follow you and fire lasers at nearby enemies. You can still enter it to change your special weapon, but it won't protect Ranger X from damage and you cannot control it. At most, you can make it move by tapping left or right while on top of it. Now to go over how power works. Your special weapon will use up power. In order to restore your power, Ranger X must be in a light source. Whether it be the bright outdoors or making light appear from an opening, you will regenerate power as long as you're in the light. Of course, you can save your power by firing with your pulse rifle instead, but the bulk of your damage will come from your special weapons. Now let's go over them. The flame unit is a mid-range flamethrower that deals good damage. It can be shot along with your rifle and can negate enemy projectiles. The Seeker Mine will start an explosion across the ground upon landing. This is mostly meant for grounded units, but the bomb itself can damage area units. The Seeker Charge will constantly fire 2 lasers that can lock onto enemies. Otherwise, holding the button will have it circle around Ranger X. You can make it fire straight by pressing and releasing B in short intervals. The Seeker Falcon will charge at a nearby enemy upon pressing B. It will stick to that enemy and deal a ton of contact damage until they're destroyed. A great weapon, but it won't always go after the enemy you want. The Proton Storm is the most powerful in terms of damage. This will fire a huge beam that will pierce through enemies and scroll the screen to hit enemies that are far ahead. However, one shot will use up all of your power. The Plasma Blast will fire multiple plasma balls forward. A decent weapon that's especially good at negating enemy projectiles from a distance. The shield is so overpowered that it's not even mentioned in the manual. Finding it in the final stage can take hours without looking it up, but having it makes the end of the game incredibly easy. It will drain power over time while making you a completely invincible hitbox that can melt enemies on contact. And that's pretty much the gist of it. Of course, I will commentate over the normal Longplay to give more insight. But I won't be commentating over the heavy mode long play since most of it boils down to the difficulty having more enemies and targets to fight. If you'd rather read a written guide, you can check out the link in the description below. Alright, and this is my long play on Ranger X for the Sega Genesis. I will be commentating over the normal difficulty, and without further ado, let's get straight into it. Okay, and this is the first stage. Now, the stage is pretty easy. All you have to do is get on top of X up, right along with it by holding right, and just, whenever you get to the target, you want to hold C and hold B in order to fire with your pulse rifle and your flame unit. That's pretty much all you need to do for the stage. You can brute force it, no problem. On the expert, I should say the heavy mode difficulty, you will have to play this a bit safer, in which you enter X up to shoot some of the enemies, and then you get out of it in order to destroy the target by using your special weapon. And yeah, like really simple stage, it's not that difficult. And I will be going over like, there are some things that I don't think I went over in the intro. Earlier you saw the power conversion unit that blew like station. By standing inside it, you will slowly recover health, and like right here, and it's called a power conversion unit because it actually converts your power into health. Now at this stage you actually see a girl get captured that will be important for later on, which is weird because there's so much to mention, but I'll get into that in a bit. So this is the first boss. All you have to do is just stay inside X up, and as I did mention in the intro, X up's bullets will automatically home in on enemies, and that is especially good for this boss because it will always home in on the boss's weak points. And so as long as you're holding C, then you should beat this boss no problem. It is possible that X up's health can get low, but if it does, you can just get out of Ranger X and finish the job yourself. Especially on the heavy difficulty, since you do take a lot of damage due to the extra projectiles. But yeah, that was stage 1, really easy, and stage 2 is pretty much where the real game begins. Now I do gotta say that these graphics, really freaking cool for 1993 standards, like this whole like 3D thing and all that. Like, I thought this was really fascinating for its time. And yeah, is there anything else I'm missing? Okay, there is still, I mean, oh yeah, I should actually talk about this run in general, but first let me talk about stage 2. So the important part about stage 2 is you have to destroy these metal boxes, and when you do, these will disable any gun turrets that are linked to it. So you can see that that gun was shooting at me earlier and now it's not. And you also have to be aware of the rocks in the ceiling because destroying them will reveal the light, and by staying in the light, you will slowly recover your power. Now, yeah, the whole gimmick is to destroy the metal boxes to disable the turrets, and you'll also have to do this to open up certain paths that won't be to a bit later. Yeah, right now I'm trying to get the first weapon in this game, which is the secret charge. So you gotta destroy this box first, because there are like 3 gun turrets above, and now you wanna fly up, and you'll find the first weapon of the game. Well, the first obtainable weapon, I should say, because you start with 2 weapons. You do start with the flame unit and secret mine, and that's where you find the secret charge. Now I should mention that in that area is a power conversion unit, so if you're ever low on health, never forget that location, because you know, in this game you can backtrack. You can always go back to the beginning, so if you are low on health, just fly back to that location so that you can convert your power into your health. But do make sure you have power, so you have to be under some light. Now I am demonstrating the secret charge a little bit. I'm not a huge fan of this weapon, because sometimes it just doesn't, like, I mean, I don't know, it's good, it's not a horrible weapon, but it doesn't always lock onto the enemies I want it to. Maybe it's better than I think, and I'm just not appreciating it as much compared to the flame unit. The flame unit is one of my more favorite weapons, like right alongside the proton cannon, but that isn't until much later. Now, if you saw right there, as I was destroying the rubble, you were seeing like small pink enemies appear from them. They're hard to hit and they're kind of annoying, but thankfully the light actually like hurts them, so as long as you stand behind the light, it's pretty easy to deal with them. So you see them again later. So I'm still using the secret charge, otherwise I would be using the flame unit. I'm pretty sure I'll switch to it after this. But as you can see, it's still a pretty good weapon. It tracks pretty reliably, at least when it does, because like it doesn't track every enemy in this game. So yeah, I'm just standing in the light to regain some of my power. Make sure you always do that so that you have plenty of power left for the upcoming targets. And yeah, for this part you just want to go inside the X up, just hold right to brute force through those rocks. And there'll be 4 turrets here. It's possible to disable them by taking the top path, but it's a little dangerous, so I prefer to just use X up here to snipe them with the homing shots, which is just as, if not more effective. And of course it's also more faster, since you don't have to like go through a different path to disable the turrets. So that part's really easy, and yeah, that pawn does damage you, so make sure you're not inside it for long. And yeah, I'm just going to keep moving forward over here. And yeah, good time for me to mention that well, I should mention first that in this part you do want to make sure you destroy some of the rocks in the ceiling, because you have to destroy a lot of rubble, which will spawn a lot of the pink enemies I mentioned earlier, and you want to drag them to the light in order to take care of them easily. And of course to regain some of your power if you haven't already. So yeah, something I want to mention about this walkthrough. Really, this walkthrough is really freaking rough, because I played this on normal mode, like obviously, but I had some really close moments, some really dangerous moments. At one moment in particular, like I've never even had happen in prior walkthroughs. I can't wait to get to that part. And yeah, this walkthrough was kind of rough. I did eventually get through it without using a continue, but it's weird because when I played this on heavy difficulty, I did not have as much of a hard time. Like, it was actually much smoother than the normal walkthrough, which is kind of weird because, you know, heavy mode is definitely harder than normal mode. But I guess it was because, again, usually when I practice these games, I first play on emulator, you know, just to get, you know, to, you know, take the pictures for the guide and all of that, like, and then like make save states to practice on certain levels of bosses, and then when I'm ready, that's when I play on the console and like actually play it legit from start to finish. And yeah, for this case I am oh yeah, that's another thing too. I am for this playthrough, for the normal and heavy playthrough, you might have seen it in the options, I'm actually playing through these games on a 3-button controller. And for one stage in particular, you see why that maybe I was better off using a 6-button controller, but again, I just wanted to prove that you can play through this game with a 3-button controller. That is the case with most of the games I've already played, like even like fighting games where like it's better to have a 6-button controller to have all the buttons, but that's another topic. Anyways, for this last part, I just charge all the way to the end, and then I stay in this corner to destroy the last target, because I feel like staying on the left side of the target makes you take more damage, especially when these guys come in. And the important part of Ranger X is when you destroy the last target, you immediately become invincible, and That can come in clutch depending on how much health he had left. Now before you're able to face the boss, you do have to destroy 6 targets. This is pretty easy to do because all you gotta do is enter X up, just keep shooting by holding C. And as long as you back away, they shouldn't land one shot on you. On the heavy difficulty, they will actually shoot often, but even then they don't do a lot of damage. And even if you don't dodge any of their shots, you should only take like a tiny bit, like not that much from destroying these targets. So this is still effective on the heavy difficulty. It's not as bad. And I should mention that the majority of stage 2 is played the same way as in heavy difficulty. And I'm only mentioning the heavy difficulty now since I'm not going to be commentating over it, since it's more or less the same but a bit harder. So yeah, the same strategies I use in stage 2 is just as effective on heavy as it is on normal. Now for this boss, you just want to stand and use both your rifle and flamethrowers to destroy the first 2 sections. Now once it enters this phase, which is like half health, you want to get out and you want to duck under the laser. And if you want, you can actually stand in between the laser, like right here, to shoot with your rifle and the Seeker charge. I don't know why I was using the Seeker charge here actually, because I usually use the flame unit. Again, it doesn't really matter, both are effective. But yeah, once it's as oh my goodness, I can't English. Once it's at its last section, you can actually start flying over it to dodge its charge, or you can just stay in place and take the hits. Either or works, like even on the heavy difficulty. Unless, of course, you do have low health, in which you should just like fly over it when it charges at you in order to avoid taking damage. So coming up is the 3rd stage, and this is where we find one of my more favorite weapons, which is the Seeker Falcon. And it's a pretty good weapon. I'm pretty sure I mentioned in the intro that it is a falcon that will home in on a nearby enemy and just constantly deal contact damage. But the problem is that it doesn't always target the enemy you want. When it does, it's really freaking good, but otherwise it's a bit like, it can feel a bit random. Like you could be as close as possible to the enemy and it'll still target something else. Now for this stage, some of the targets will appear from above. And you can see right there that I actually used the Seeker Mine to like destroy it while it was airborne, because as you notice, the Seeker Mine is meant for like the grounded units. You can see the long explosion there and all that. But you can still hit enemies that are airborne, like with the bomb itself, like when it makes contact. Now I'm going to immediately switch to the Falcon by going on top of X up EOS and pressing down. As you can see, it deals a lot of damage, which is really good. And yeah, for this stage, we're going to be destroying the targets. Now you might be wondering, okay, is there any health in this stage? Yes, actually, and it's not very obvious at first, so I think I actually paused the game to show it, so I'll talk about it once that happens. So let's see when. I think it might be around here. So you might barely see that red orb on the tree. What you're supposed to do is shoot it and it will fall down, and if you catch the orb right before it falls down, like before it lands, you actually get your health back. So again, it's hard to notice at first. It actually took me like when I first played through this game, I should mention that when I was playing through this game, I first played it on the easy mode, like casually. I think it was like 2 AM. I actually got game over, and then like I played on the easy mode again and finished it, and then it said, like, it was really late. It said like, oh, you gotta do normal mode for the ending, and like I was enjoying the game so much, I said screw it, and we just stay up and like actually try to beat it on normal mode. And yeah, I did eventually do that and like went to sleep and all that, and yeah, I had a really good time. But during those playthroughs, I never noticed those small red orbs. I guess you can call them like cherries or fruits or whatnot. And yeah, if you just like shoot them and catch them before they fall, you just gain a good amount of health back, which is the only stage to have something like that, because outside of that, like the only way to get your health back is like the conversion units. But yeah, in this stage you actually just have to get the, I guess, the fruits from the tree. Now for this boss battle, immediately switch to the Seeker Mine and stay on the right side. I didn't really get to talk about this stage, but really all you have to do is just like get close to the targets and quickly take them out to Seeker Falcon. And as long as you're like constantly shooting and trying to dodge the shots, it shouldn't be too difficult. I don't know how else to explain it. But yeah, this boss is pretty easy. You just want to keep using the Seeker Mine. You can only damage it while its eye is out. The eye is out, I should say. And You could shoot it with your pulse rifle, but the thing is, it will close its eye every time you do, so it's better to just use the Seeker Mine. And there are times where it will shoot backwards, and if that happens, you can like go on the other side if you want. And yeah, after you do about half of its damage, immediately go back on the X-Up and change to the Flame unit, because this boss will start flying around. And if you still have the Seeker Mine equipped, one, it's going to be a little hard to hit the boss and damage it quickly like I did right here. Again, really easy boss. And two, because the boss is like moving around and following you, it will actually be a bit more difficult to change your weapon, because like it will actually, X-Up EOS actually doesn't it doesn't protect you from taking damage. So what ends up happening is you take damage from trying to like, you know, change your weapon, and it becomes a complete mess. So right after the first phase, I immediately change weapons to avoid like going through that. And now stage 4 is interesting because especially on the expert difficulty, because what you gotta do here is start making your way up, and I personally prefer the Sega Falcon no matter what. It seems to be a bit more consistent in actually going after the targets. And yeah, so what you want to do for most of the stage is you just gotta keep flying up and use the Falcon right when the target's nearby. And you also want to land on the ledges so that you recover your temperature meter on the bottom right. Because of course you can't fly forever, so you do need it to, you do need to land in order to recover it. And right there you saw that I got the special weapon. It's actually like 3 windows under the 4th target. Like when there's like 4 targets left, you want to go under it and like destroy the windows like right below it, and the proton storm will appear. So yeah, really simple stage, and you barely might have saw it right there, but there was a mini conversion unit that converted my power into health. So even if you do take some health here, you can find some health near the end, which is right over here. Really quick stage overall, it's not that hard. But yeah, the important part is that you get the proton storm, which is like when there's 4 targets left, you want to go to the next target and like destroy the glass windows right under it with your rifle. And the boss fight is also really easy. All you have to do is this, there's 5 laser turrets, laser launchers, whatever you want to call them. So just destroy them with your rifle and your Seeker Falcon. And I'm pretty sure here I actually do equip the proton storm because I just want to show it off. You really don't have to though, because this boss is, again, I think it's easy, and you will deal a lot of damage even without the proton storm. So the whole gimmick is that you see this device and orb rotate, and what you have to do is shoot the device in order to damage the boss. If you shoot the orb, it will actually like knock you back. I'm pretty sure this happens here. Yep, there it is. It doesn't deal that much damage, and then it will stop for a bit. Now I could finish it off with the pulse rifle, but I do decide to wait until the proton storm is ready. Now you can't tell me that weapon does not look sick. Like it's a really good weapon. It deals a lot of damage, but it does take up all of your power, so it's not something that you can spam over and over. Well, technically you could if you just like shoot it and then just wait for your power to recover, but it's not something you can do back to back, you know? Now this is stage 5, and I personally think this is the hardest stage in the game. Like way harder than any of the other stages, even harder than stage 6. And I'll get into why in a bit. So this stage is interesting because of 2 reasons. One, one, you do recover power very, very slowly, but you can recover power much faster if you stay in the searchlights, which I will talk about in a bit. But first, I do have to mention that there's a secret weapon right there, which is the plasma. Was it? How did I already forget the name of the weapon? I think it was the plasma blast. Oh, that's embarrassing. But yeah, this weapon is really good because this stage is so screwed. Okay, so the whole gimmick is that when you go into searchlights, you recover power faster since it's a light source. But they also trigger enemies that go behind you. Now, I have to mention this part. You see me destroy this small green switch over here, like on the rails. And that's important because all of the targets are actually like, you actually saw it in the 3D intro too. All of the targets actually ride on the rail, so if you destroy those switches and they go over it, this happens. They instantly get defeated, which is very, very helpful in taking them out quickly. So the problem I have with this stage is There's a lot of searchlights, so these enemies will keep popping up. X up EOS will be very helpful if you have it nearby, since it can't shoot them down. I don't know if I actually do this, but the reason why these enemies are so annoying is because if you turn around, they immediately like turn with you, and it makes it very difficult to hit them without the Seeker Falcon, since, you know, they turn with you, so you actually can't shoot them normally. And there was a mini conversion unit right there. So yeah, you just have to keep damaging the jeez, my health. Oh my goodness, this was worse than I remember. So what you're supposed to be doing is you need to use, oh good, like I already know that I got through this without using a continue, but this looks so like it should not have been this close. Like, good grief. And again, I swear, like, it's so weird that I was struggling on normal mode, but when you see the heavy mode playthrough, this will go much smoother. But yeah, like, anyways, as I was saying, the problem with this stage is it's better to dodge the searchlights, but sometimes you're in a position where, like, you're trying to avoid them and you're trying to deal with the targets. The targets in this level deal a ton of freaking damage, as you saw earlier. So it's really important that you avoid them. But you do have to destroy them too, so it's like it's a bit awkward. Now what I'm doing here is I'm gaining my power fast and by staying in the searchlight. But I'm also keeping Seeker Falcon equipped so that I can destroy the targets that appear behind me. And I'm doing this because I know there's a power conversion, I should say a mini conversion unit right here, which should recover all my health since I had a lot of power. And I'm going to go right back to that searchlight to recover my power again. And yeah, the important part of this level is that you know where the mini conversion units are, because there's plenty of them in this level and you're going to need them to keep your health high. Now, as for dealing with the targets, it comes down to preference. You can use the Seeker Falcon to take them out quickly, assuming the Seeker Falcon doesn't target the wrong enemy. Or you can use a Plasma Blast, you know, the plasma balls, in order to shoot the targets, deal damage, and negate their projectiles with like the plasma burst at the same time. I decided to use the Falcon here. It's a bit more risky, but again, it does work as long as they target the target you're trying to actually destroy. So yeah, that was really messy. I was actually considering to just restart the game, but I said screw it. I guess it would be better if I just like, because you know, I don't like to just give up, especially when like the stage is more than doable, and I knew the power conversion unit was nearby, so I said yeah, maybe just get that, and I'm sure the stage will be fine. But yeah, most of the stage, that's another thing too I should mention. In the heavy playthrough, you actually see more of me. I don't know how to say this. Being a bit more strategic, in that I try to just like avoid the searchlights altogether. Like I actually go under them, around them, wait until like they're not in range and all that stuff. And yeah, destroying the switches on the rails makes the stage much easier since it just one-shots the targets. I'm pretty sure I do more of that in the expert playthrough. I don't remember too much about it, but it definitely went better than whatever the heck this playthrough was. Now I should mention that those last two targets they don't have any switches that you can destroy in order to one-shot them, so you do have to destroy them with your own weapons. Now, that feels like I'm saying a lot. I hope I'm not like talking too fast. I do apologize. Anyways, for this fifth boss, I should say, pretty easy. Just use a proton cannon, shoot it immediately, and it will enter its second phase. During the first phase, it would keep shooting debris, and like they can actually block your shots, including some of your special weapons. So I just say screw it, unleash the photon storm, and it is easy. Which is the same for the second phase. It's not that hard. You just want to like keep flying around, keep shooting with your pulse rifle, and it's possible to take it out into proton storm shots. I don't know if it's this playthrough or the next playthrough where I failed to do that. So you see me shoot it right here, and it didn't do as much as I thought. I think it might be because I mean, I don't know if maybe I have to test this again. It might be because because when you use a proton storm, the screen scrolls to the right, and I think because it did that for this boss, it actually put the boss's weak point off screen, and I guess the game considered that the boss wasn't on like the screen, so it stopped dealing the damage it was supposed to be dealing. So I think in that case you want to back up when you use a proton cannon so that it doesn't like lose the damage it was supposed to deal. Now for the final stage. There is a good amount I want to say about the stage, and the first thing I want to talk about is the shield. So I spent hours on the stage. I didn't know where the hell the shield was, and I'm not ashamed to admit that I did have to look up a different Longplay to find it. And you're supposed to do this. What you have to do is constantly bump into these robots, and the shield will pop up. And like you saw right there, like I just got the shield. I don't know how the hell you're supposed to figure that out. Like it's not in the manual, that's for sure. But if you destroy one of those shielded robots without shooting them, just by constantly bumping into them, they'll drop the shield. It doesn't matter if you do it at the beginning or even like to the robots at the end, it will still count. I'm not going to be using the shield for the normal playthrough because I mentioned in the intro, the shield is way too overpowered. It makes this stage way too easy. But you better believe that I will be using that shield for the heavy playthrough, which you will see like when that comes up. So if you're interested in seeing how ridiculously broken the shield is, you have to wait until there. Or you can just skip to it, whichever you prefer. So since I'm not using the shield, I'm actually going to be playing through this stage normally. And the trick is to use the Proton Storm. And the reason why I don't want to talk about using the shield in the reason why I didn't want to use the shield in normal mode is like not for a sense of honor or anything like that. Like, always use like whatever you have, right? But I just want to show that you don't need it in order to finish the game. And another reason is because this is how I played through the game when I first played it. Like, I wasn't really thinking about the shield weapon when I was playing this on normal for the first time. Like, I was just, playing through the game casually. I had to use some continues and all that. And you can see right here that I'm actually using the plasma balls to destroy this small switch right here that it will pretty much deactivate the laser in the ceiling, which is important because you see these fans. And yeah, they push you up there, so if the lasers were still active, you'd be taking a lot of damage. And I think you can also destroy the switch by hitting that small thing on the top left. But I think it doesn't destroy it fully, like you still have to damage it yourself. So yeah, the Proton Storm, really good here. It destroys all of those targets, no problem. The problem with destroying the targets is that you have to destroy all 4 extensions from the left sides and right sides, like the 2 on the left and 2 on the right. So destroying the targets can be really annoying to do normally. So I prefer doing it with the Proton Storm because it would just destroy both sides of the target and just deal with them instantly. Oh man, it feels like I've been talking non-stop, to be grief. But yeah, there's just so much to like unpack here, man. But yeah, I think this stage is more fun to do with the Proton Storm. It is definitely harder on heavy difficulty since there are way more targets. I think there are 19, if I'm not mistaken. Now this part is a little awkward because you gotta destroy that switch on the right to deactivate the lasers, but there's also a fan that will push you if you fly into it. I should have been using the plasma balls here. I don't really need to fly. And yeah, just led to me taking way too much damage for no reason. Like I could have just used a special weapon without like having to move. Now I did something really stupid here. I was actually charging up a jump, and I think I screwed up really hard. So what's supposed to happen is X up follows you here through the bottom, but and you can see like I'm confused right here. I'm like, wait, what the hell's going on? X up is actually stuck jumping constantly. So like I'm just. If I had the 6-button controller, I think I can stop this by moving X up back from the wall and then moving it forward to the bottom. But because I'm using a 3-button controller, X up is pretty much gone for the rest of the stage. Thankfully, all I need is a Proton Storm for the stage. If I didn't have this equipped and like X up isn't accessible, I would have been pretty dang pissed. But yeah, you'll also notice these switches. You see like a rainbow switch linked to the lasers. If you destroy them, they'll immediately send projectiles, but if you fly away, the projectiles will disappear. And you can just rush through these enemies, and
yeah, now the stage just got really freaking awkward just because I don't have X up with me. Because if I did, I'd actually be using it here to show some of the damage, but yeah. Now another thing to mention, of course you can notice that there's an enemy in the background constantly shooting. I really had to think hard about this part because with this part I usually write X up on the bottom halfway through and then I fly the rest of the way through, because I don't have X up with me, I actually had to do this like pretty much the rawest way possible by like actually flying through the mines, which felt pretty good honestly. Like it felt like I unintentionally well, that was close. I feel like I unintentionally handicapped myself in this stage. Like, again, it's way closer than it should have been, but I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty fun. Now, something I should have mentioned in the beginning, you do charge up your energy throughout the stage by being in the light, and when the screen goes dark by being in the shadows, you don't recover. I'm calling it energy, I should call it power, but yeah. Being in the light, you do recover power throughout the stage, which makes the Proton Storm really good because you get it back really fast. And yeah, when you're in the shadows like that, you don't recover power. This boss, really easy. You just want to charge up the Proton Storm and be right around here just to do a ton of freaking damage. Do you see his health bar go down? Like, it's just really freaking strong, dude. It's insane how good this weapon is. Now again, on expert mode, you will be seeing me use the shield, but even on expert mode, the Proton Storm is really good for this fight. I said fight. But yeah, it's really good for this fight. I don't think the shield is as effective. It does make you invincible, but it doesn't deal as much damage to this boss. Now, for the final boss battle, you will be flying down with this machine over here. It doesn't really matter what happens. It is possible to die to this thing if you take like every single shot, but or maybe it isn't, who knows, but I'm pretty sure it is possible. But it's pretty easy to dodge it, and when the boss fight starts, you will recover all of your power and health back. And if you notice in the middle, you do see the gear that was captured in the beginning of the stage 1 boss. And now it's time for I don't know, I feel like this boss kind of comes out of nowhere. Does that make sense? I mean, like, up until this point, we were like fighting machines and stuff, but now we're fighting this thing. I guess it's technically a machine. Now this boss is weird. I didn't get to mention the first phase, but in the first phase, it will shoot out ravens. Only one of them is real, but you can use X up and it'll automatically home in on the right one. And it'll also send out a cube that will absorb your health, and it will absorb your health as like yellow particles. And if you destroy the cube in time, you can actually get those yellow particles back to recover your health back. Now the second phase, it will keep shooting 2 projectiles, and it will actually damage itself during that phase, and then once it has a little bit of health left, it will start shooting these small particles at your location. Very easy to dodge, and if you have the Proton Storm, this boss is incredibly easy. I didn't get to mention the score, but you do get a life every 200,000 points, and because I had 700,000 points when I finished the game, I got 60 million for finishing the game, because for every continue you have, you do get 1 million points. You start with 3, and I got 3 extra continues from points alone, so my score ended with around 60 million. So yeah, the ending is pretty simple. You free the girl, you save her, and then you get this 3D ending. And what you see in this ending will depend on the difficulty. If I was playing on hard mode, you actually see this you see the ship take off and fly to what looks like a crystal. And you will see something else in the expert playthrough, but I won't mention what it is because that is coming up soon, because I actually did do both of these playthroughs back to back. I considered just stopping the recording and doing the expert playthrough like later, but I figured since I was already sitting down and playing the game, like why not just like play on I keep wanting to get expert, it's called heavy mode. Anyways, I was already sitting down playing the game on the like Mega SG, and I said, you know what, screw it, they would just like play through this on heavy mode like right now. And again, it actually went really freaking well. Probably because I already played through normal, like on the same setting, and like I was already comfortable with like what I had to do and all that. But yeah, again, there's not much for me to mention about heavy difficulty. Subtle things would be like how I have to play stage 1 safer, how in stage 4 you do have to use the boost jump, which is done by pressing down and then up. I don't think I mentioned that earlier. I probably put a note on that during the playthrough. But yeah, that is Ranger X for the Sega Genesis. I actually really love this game. I didn't appreciate it as much when I first played it, but now that I have played through it, I do love it a lot. I think it's a really cool game. I think it's really impressive for its time, and yeah, I love it a lot. I hope you enjoyed my commentary, but I will be quiet for this heavy long play, and with that said, I'll see you later.